Hey, this is Matt with Eighth Day Distillery, and you're listening to the Drink Culture Podcast.
Boom. Cheers. Okay.
Yeah,
We can
got
say cheers. So where's your can? There's your can. Okay. So Matt, we're talking to Matt Lamping, co-owner at Eighth Day Distillery. You guys were on the show. We had your brother Mason on the show last time. Gosh, this was over a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
At least it's probably coming up on two and a quarter years ago because we didn't even have our cocktail bar bottle shop open yet.
Yeah, because we hosted our first anniversary party there. And
it was a blast.
So it's exciting, and we've now had the opportunity to start talking to some people that have been on the show, like when we first started, and kind of their businesses have first started. So we've kind of been growing together. So if you can, for people who may not be familiar with Eighth Day Distillery, give us a little bit of background, and just real quick, because people can obviously go listen to that other episode. But for new listeners now, who are you? What do you guys do here in Indianapolis? And then we'll talk about some of the new stuff that you guys are working on.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we're Eighth Day Distillery, located here on the Near East side of Indianapolis, like almost just literally downtown, inside the Circle City Industrial Complex. Kind of our neighbors are Centerpoint Brewery, if anybody's heard of those awesome folks down there. But here we're focusing on full flavored spirits. So think rums, gins, whiskeys, and absinthe. Operate a cocktail bar Thursday through Sunday right now. Well, I shouldn't say right now, but under normal conditions, we do. Thursday through Sunday hours, have an awesome team, shaking cocktails and making great spirits. Our mission is just to help educate individuals in Indianapolis and help them understand what awesome spirit is.
And wonderful job doing that rundown. What's interesting for people that are watching right now on YouTube, when we interviewed you guys the first time, we were where you're standing, which is like the distillery, so where you guys are making the spirit, but then also your barrel house where you guys are housing the stuff once you've made it. And I want to say it was probably, a 1/10 of what you guys are showing now, or was it less than that?
Oh, maybe. I think we might have had like 3 barrels at that time, maybe 4 full. Who even knows? But yeah, it's been an ongoing project of trying to fill as many barrels as we can of rums, gins, and whiskeys. We're not just sticking to whiskey into a barrel. We're going to roll out other fun things to the Indianapolis market here.
Yeah, and if you guys have never been there, like Matt said, they're in the Circle City Industrial Complex, so the CCIC. Probably one of my favorite places to go get a cocktail. And this isn't just because you guys are friends of mine and friends of the show and you guys have been on the podcast, but I honestly think you're making some of the best stuff in the Midwest. Definitely, I'd say the best cocktails in Indianapolis, and people can fight me on that and try to prove me wrong. I won't have a bad time trying to figure that out. Talk a little bit about what makes you guys unique. Why are you guys a little bit different than or how do you differentiate yourself from some of the other people that are making spirits here in town?
Yeah, so we've taken an approach to do a whole array of spirits, essentially. Again, rums, gins, whiskeys, and absinthe, full flavored spirits. We get a lot of questions about what we're doing, and that's what we want to bring is flavor to the Indianapolis market and educate. So while we're making everything in-house when it comes to our spirits, we're not sourcing a single drop of anything. We're also providing that same fun quality spirit and service on the other side of the wall from the distillery, which we call our cocktail bar and bottle shop. And there is a way to educate the consumer, try to help educate the Indianapolis market of what an awesome spirit is paired with some awesome ingredients and how simple a cocktail can be made at home.
And what do you think is the thing that you've kind of heard the most? Like, what's the feedback that you've heard on that education piece where people are like, oh, I didn't know it was this, or what is like a question or misconception that people come in with?
It's really fun to see people return time and time out and understand when we kind of send them home with some direction. They've enjoyed a cocktail or two at the cocktail bar bottle shop, and then they go home with the bottle. Try it at home, and they realize how unintimidating it really is to do some fun things at home, which is really a mission of ours. Is like, yeah, we want you to come here, we want you to have fun, but we also want you to enjoy in the confines of your own home with friends and family, to have spirit, have cocktails. And it's it's really fun when they actually go out, try it themselves, and see that, hey, I can do this. Like, this isn't too hard, but it's always fun to see them come back because like, mine didn't taste exactly like how you guys told me to do it, but what I do wrong. So it's always fun to troubleshoot back and forth a little bit of how we can help their home cocktail game.
Yeah. And when you guys are crafting menus and things like that, is that always kind of at the forefront? It's like, what is something that, and maybe you've already just answered this, but is it like, how do we make this less intimidating and more accessible? Like when you're making menus or no?
There's an aspect of it for sure. We all get together as a team. We all bring ideas of what we want to have on the cocktail menu. And we try to keep some of the cocktails definitely super home friendly, while we also want to provide that experience to the consumer when they come out. Not everybody has some of the simple syrups that we have or that we make on site here. So we also want to provide that opportunity as well for, I'll just say that, to the curious bartender or the extra curious bartender at home. So we try to cater to both, really.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So you kind of touched on, under normal circumstances, you guys run a cocktail bar Thursday through Sunday, and talking about not everybody having the syrups and stuff. I think, it'd be stupid of me not to ask how you guys are adjusting and have been kind of pivoting your business during this time. Do you see, like, you guys are doing takeout cocktails? Do you see something like that continuing on after this is all over and things are back to normal, like making some of your simples and things like that for people to make cocktails at home?
To an extent, for sure. We're going to, even when we get back to full service, we will have a carry-out option available. And we'll push that. We get a lot of requests each week about providing cocktails or mixes to larger events. So let's say you're having a birthday party at your house and you wanted to have a little bit more than beer and wine, but you didn't want to pre-batch a whole bunch of cocktails, right? So we could pre-batch cocktail mix for you, kind of sell you the whole kit and caboodle. And then at your next birthday party that you're throwing, you could have an awesome cocktail that's punch style, pour ready to go. So nobody's sitting behind the cocktail bar or the shaker all night shaking cocktails. So it will be a part of our ongoing kind of a line, but in a different aspect. It won't be our primary focus like it is today, because we have to pivot. So today you can still enjoy an awesome 8th Day cocktail at home. It just, you come here, you pick up a fresh simple syrup or a fresh juice that we're doing. It's kind of like a cocktail mix. We're keeping it super simple. We mix in 2 parts spirit, or 2 parts cocktail mix to 1 part spirit. Kind of start out there. You just pour it over ice and enjoy it in your backyard or wherever you see fit.
Yeah. And is that even, I mean, is that cost effective for you guys?
It's keeping us busy. That's for sure. I mean, it's definitely a fun way to stay relevant to the community. It's not anywhere where we thought we would be necessarily, but it's definitely awesome, and we've gotten good support. Cost effective. It's more cost effective for the consumer than it is for our business to put that together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I want people to go listen to the first episode, but you've got an engineering background. You're kind of a planner. You know, as much as anybody can be prepared for something like this to happen, you know, what was the initial react? Like, how did you guys react to that? And did you have something in place to be like, okay, like, we're going to need to make some changes, but like, this isn't going to take us down?
Definitely. First it was, holy shit, what the heck, what's happening, right? And we didn't really have a plan in place. It seemed like our business was changing daily, day in, day out. I remember the very first night we launched the cocktail mix. We were actually shaking fresh cocktails, bottling them up, putting a sticker on, like sealing them up and sending them out the door. And it was awesome, the support we got doing them that way. But it was like, at the end of the night, I think we sold like 30 cocktails that night, which isn't crazy by any means, but the whole team was exhausted just because it was a change in pace and a change in all kind of the standards we put in place. But all things considered, from day one to where we are today, the team adapted really well. I feel like we could definitely make this a viable business if we have to continue to do exactly what we're doing for the next 4 months, God forbid. But it's been an awesome, interesting time, and it's given us time to kind of reflect of who we really are, what we really want to do, and how we want to be a staple in the community. Which it's been cool just to have the team back and talk about the back to the basics, back to the roots kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, and it's awesome to see how the community has reacted. I think one of the coolest things that I saw going around was just people just giving tips to the people in the service industry that just didn't have jobs anymore. Right.
Yeah. And that was probably the hardest thing, is just some of the people here that we just didn't have the hours to give them. And it was hard to say, like, hey, we don't have a job right now. It doesn't mean you're not going to be able to come back when things get normal. It's just right now we just don't have the capacity. And it was difficult to deliver that message.
Yeah. So how have things changed from when we first talked? Like, have recipes changed? Have you guys gotten feedback on the way that you make your products that has forced you or has kind of shown you, hey, maybe we need to tweak the recipe a little bit this way or that way?
No, not overall recipes have necessarily changed. We've launched more product than I think last time we talked officially on the podcast. We had rum and gin, right? Like, we didn't have any of our brown spirits. So since then, we've launched 100% rye whiskey, a bourbon. We did launch that bourbon slightly different than what we have today available on the shelf. Our mash bill has changed a little bit year to year. And we're launched some Navy strength gin. So our gin aged in a bourbon barrel for a couple of years, as well as an aged rum. So kind of had quite a few product launches since our last discussion, and quite a few of those are actually already sold out. Another fun one that we're doing as like a house staple is absinthe. I'm not sure there's too many other people here in Indiana or the Indianapolis area making an absinthe. So think kind of like a gin in a way, but definitely different botanicals. So we're using woodworm, anise, and fennel are kind of the predominant flavors that come through.
What made you guys want to do an absinthe?
Our primary focus for an absinthe, being an artisan distillery, we can't purchase other alcohol to serve at the cocktail bar bottle shop. So everything we serve, we have to make. One of our favorite drinks is a Sazerac. So we have that 100% rye whiskey, and you can't just go buy an absinthe. We did a really good job of like developing an absinthe that works super awesome by itself, but also in one of our favorite cocktails, the Sazerac, which simple build for a Sazerac is a heavy absinthe rinse to your glass. It's rye poured over the rocks, stirred down a little bit with some Peychaud's bitters. So super classic, simple cocktail. That's yummy, delicious.
Yeah. And I mean, I was never really like, my only thing is like, gosh, what was that movie? Euro Trip, right? If you've ever seen like the little green fairy that starts flying around.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't this more of a commonplace thing? Is it more difficult to produce, or is it just not? It's kind of like very niche.
It's definitely very niche, and actually until 2008 here in the U.S., the spirit was banned because of the thujone. Think of thujone being a potential hallucinogen in wormwood. So in 2008, that ban was lifted, and now distilleries kind of across America are making it a little bit, but it's definitely a niche market. It's not a number one seller by any means, but it's tasty to drink. So we're going to continue to do it.
What can you, for people that haven't tasted it before, describe the experience? I mean, you say wormwood, and my mind immediately goes to like Malort for some reason, or like an Underberg of just like this very bitter, like digestif or aperitif type flavors. Can you describe it for anybody that hasn't had it?
Yeah, so it definitely kind of fall in one of those categories itself, digestif or aperitif. Very, very far from the experience of those that have had Merlot and their stomachs still turning upside down. But absinthe, it's a high proof spirit. Ours comes in at 133 proof. Whoa. And think a little bit like black licorice and some chamomile would be some predominant flavors with that anise there. And we're doing some fresh ginger into it as well to spice it up. But definitely think kind of a black licorice forward smell, taste, flavor profile.
Yeah. And are you guys the only ones in Indy making it?
I think there's one other distillery making it. I don't know if that other distillery is doing it like year round like we are. But yeah, I know we are actually distributing. I think we might be the only distillery here in Indianapolis that's distributing absinthe at the moment.
Baller.
Yeah, we're having fun with it.
And you mentioned aged gin and aged rum. How long were those sitting in barrels?
So the current Navy strength gin we have today is our house gin rested in a bourbon barrel for just shy of 2 years. It's taken our fresh, like citrus botanical gin and turned it into more of like baking spices, orange marmalade flavor, which is really awesome. Yeah. And then the rum that we just sold out of was a Queen Share rum. That's our house made rum, kind of using the heads and the tails to distill it one more time, a third time, pull out good alcohol, heavier congeners from it. And it aged for just over 2 years. But that's, I don't even think we have a bottle left. It went like hotcakes. Was that
a 375 or was that a 750 fill?
That was actually a 750. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so when you guys sell out, are you out, or do you guys like keep some reserves for like the bar?
We're out. I think we're out of that. Sometimes we have a little bit back that we keep for some fun cocktail R&D and menus and stuff. But I believe the Queen Share, unless there's a bottle the team has hidden on us that we don't even know about, then we're out.
Yeah, and then you guys started doing slushies. Like how soon did you guys get that slushie machine after the cocktail bar was open?
We opened it'll be June 2 years. June 2020 will be 2 years. So it was probably the fall of 2018 is when we started doing slushies. Late summer, fall of 2018. And it was a hit. We still have it. Can't wait to fire it back up and we can get back to some normal service. But
yeah, will you guys start putting xanthan gum in there yet?
We may have to come out with the Fabian Rodriguez xanthan gum only non-alcoholic cocktail.
Dude, I'm telling you, it is. I've been putting it in my protein smoothies.
Yeah,
and it's like it's heavenly because it's just how it thickens the consistency of it up, and it just like sits there thick. Awesome.
All day,
dude. Yeah, nice gelatinous beverage.
You've been on that xanthan gum kick ever since we got the slushie machine.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to tell you guys. I watched a YouTube video about a guy who made a Frappuccino, and he's like, this is how Starbucks makes their Frappuccinos. This is how they keep them like frozen. And I was like, oh man, that would be a great idea for like a slushie that just didn't really freeze the whole time, or like stayed frozen longer, if I could talk correctly. So that's been a hit. It sounds like slushies have been a hit for you guys. You guys do a fall one too, which was kind of one of my favorites that you guys did.
Are you talking about the apple cider one we did for a while? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's awesome to see you guys continually changing things, kind of trying new things. We've been sipping on, and I'll show it here for everybody watching, the newest product that you guys put out. So this is a ready to drink gin and tonic, 12 ounces, 7.5%, right?
7.2.
7.2. Okay, so talk a little bit about how this whole idea came about and what people can expect and when they can start like finding this.
Yeah, so the whole idea behind the gin and tonic came about. We had a lot of, let's go back to our gin and tonic. So we're making our gin here in house, and then another unique aspect of it, we're making house-made tonic syrup to pair really well with our gin. Ever since day one, we've had that kind of on the menu. We've been serving it. We get a lot of requests for people to take the tonic syrup at home. They've never tasted anything like it. It's got this subtle bitterness, but sweetness to it, balances really well with the gin. So we never really were on the path to want to sell tonic syrup to people. It just didn't seem like a fun, like awesome thing to do necessarily. So from kind of day one, when people started requesting to buy the tonic syrup, we said, how do we package this all together and just send them out the door with exactly what they want? So this has been a project well over a year and a half that we've been R&Ding to get the flavor profile right. But it's in the can as our house-made gin, house-made tonic syrup, and some carbonated water. That's coming in at 7.2% ABV, super tasty. Don't even have to pour it over ice. Kind of just crack it open and drink it.
The fizz on it is delicious. It's like the right amount of effervescence. I love that word. It's like not over fizzy like a LaCroix, but also doesn't just like taste flat. You know, like when a Coca-Cola or something goes flat, now you taste it's like the sugar or something like that. I was kind of concerned. I've actually always had this concern with RTDs in a can. It's just like there's no way that you can recreate the experience of going to get a cocktail at a bar inside this can. And dude, I mean, you guys hit it on the head. How many iterations of it, like, did you guys have to go through, and who did you go through that like process with?
It was a fun project. We had some peers sit down with us, and we did our different cocktail builds, gin and tonic builds, adding a little bit more gin, a little bit more tonic here and there, and kind of dialed in on the flavor profile of how much sweetness we want to, exactly how much gin essentially. And some peers in the building, Centerpoint guys, came down, and it just it was a good old day. It's kind of like, hey, let's try this. And after a while, we went back and forth a little bit on the ratios of gin to tonic. It's not exactly what we're doing in-house if you buy it over the bar, just because of once you put stuff in a can and package together, things change ever so slightly.
Right.
But it turned out super well. I don't even think most people would know that they weren't sitting on the other side of the bar here in the cocktail bar bottle shop enjoying a gin and tonic if it wasn't served in the can to them. If you poured it out, they wouldn't even know.
And so what about like stability, like shelf life on this thing? Like how does that all work?
So right now we've been R&Ding it, like I said, for over a year. We've got some samples out there that have some age on them, but we say enjoy it fresh, enjoy it like you would a nice hoppy IPA. Essentially, it doesn't stay on the shelf good forever, but that's because we're not using any kind of preservatives in there either. So it's all fresh ingredients, all ready to drink. So when you pick them up from the cocktail bar bottle shop this Thursday, make sure you have them within the next couple months and come see us again so we can get you replenished.
And something like this, so it's 12 ounces. Obviously, the drinks that you get at the bar are not 12 ounces. So what is this, like, how does this compare? What is the, I don't know what the word is, but like the chart, right? Like the comparison chart of cocktail over the bar to 12-ounce can.
Sure. So think about this as like like you'd be drinking an IPA, essentially.
Is the word I was looking for. Conversion chart.
Yes. Yeah. Think about it as like you're drinking an IPA, essentially, if you're going to convert it that way. If you're looking at like ABV, our cocktails here, the gin and tonic at the cocktail bar bottle shop is slightly higher in ABV than this particular one. But the reason we kind of chose this is it balances really well.
Right. So, I mean, I guess just to be completely clear though, right? Like this isn't like drinking 12 ounces of the cocktail at the bar.
No, not at all. It would be slightly less than that.
Gotcha.
To make it balance well and taste awesome in the can, it's slightly less than 12 ounces of cocktail at the bar.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you guys are also working on another project, I heard, a weeded whiskey.
Yeah, we are with some awesome friends of ours. So earlier this year, there was a group that came into the distillery and talked us into making our first ever weeded whiskey. It's aging in the barrel, probably 6 months now, maybe. I didn't write down the exact date, but we'll need to crack that open here relatively soon and give it a shot.
Yeah, so Jared and I went in there and said we wanted a damn wheat whiskey. I'm a huge fan of a nice wheater. You guys don't make one. We kind of forced your hand and said, let's collaborate and let's see what we can do. That's going to be fun. So I wish you had the little barrel there, but we've got a small barrel. How many gallons is that?
That's like almost 6 full gallons right there is what we have aging. And then we also filled a bigger barrel with it too. So we can like hang on to a little bit and do a comparison a couple of years down the road, have a fun like drink culture collab celebration. Yeah.
I am really looking forward to that. Have you pulled samples? Have you been tasting it?
We haven't recently. We did right before it went in the barrel. So we tasted the new make and it was super smooth, super tasty. The wheat is not, like you said, it's not necessarily a product we use a lot around here. Our bourbon is definitely heavier rye, and then we have 100% rye product. So using wheat was a fun opportunity, especially with some individuals like yourselves to experience something new.
Yeah, and for people to get excited, I mean, what are some of the differences? So you mentioned that you guys particularly work with rye, in like the knowledge that I know that's going to be a little bit spicier. It's going to have that nice little kick there, whereas the wheat's going to be a little bit smoother, sweeter. Is there anything else that people can expect from that, or am I like way off?
No, you're right on. So rye, I think bold, spicy, kind of there, kind of in your face, where that wheat's nice, subtle, smooth, sweet for sure. You're hit the nose right on the head. It's like you drank a little bit.
And what do we have the proof at?
The proof entered the barrel, I think, right. I should have looked at that right before I jumped on. I think it's a little over 100. So we kept the proof down a little bit to experiment on barrel aging.
Yeah.
That's one thing we're playing around with here is barrel aging at different proofs, and how does that affect or extract different compounds or flavors out of barrels.
Right. And what do you expect the findings of that to be?
So far, our hypothesis said like lower proof alcohol in a barrel pulls out some fun, like vanilla, heavier characters towards that side, rather than the big char oaky side of the barrel.
Yeah.
So, but again, we're growing, we're learning stuff every day, which is fun. And it's back to our roots, like education and help educate the consumer. Like, let's do this together. Let's have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, summer's right around the corner. It looks like the worst of coronavirus is kind of behind us. Things are starting to reopen, this week in kind of phased openings. What are you excited most about that you guys have been working on, and kind of what are you looking forward to?
Excited most about that can you've been sipping on here during this interview. Like, that's been a work in progress for several months of the year, and it's going to be fun to get that launched, get that out there, and actually have barmaid quality in people's hands anywhere and everywhere they want to go with it. Just drink it out of the can, go. We have some other projects going too, with trying to get more bourbon and whiskey just laid down into barrels. And don't be surprised if you see another canned cocktail come from us, maybe fall or so. So who knows? We'll see. But definitely the gin and tonic is going to be our kind of trial.
Yeah.
Had a lot of people asking for it. I think it's delicious, and it'll go really well.
And this might be a stupid question, but like, when you guys open back up, can I buy this at the bar and just drink it out of the can at the bar, or is this carry out only?
So we're launching it as carry out only. At the bar, definitely when we open back up, we could do that. We'll just have to open it for you.
Gotcha.
Before we serve it. But yeah, this Thursday is when we're launching our canned gin and tonic cocktails, 4-packs to go. Take them anywhere you want and enjoy.
Awesome. And what is the price on a 4-pack?
Right now we're launching a price point $12.99 for the 4-pack out the door. So,
that's a pretty good price.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it super approachable, just have fun with it, and yeah, $12.99. So,
and we joked about this on the phone before we hopped on this interview. Maybe this is a couple days ago, but when are we going to see a 16-ounce tall boy gin and tonic hazy?
Maybe that's the one you're going to see this fall. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Who are you guys going through to can this? Is it with Centerpoint? Are they helping you guys can that? Or
yeah. Centerpoint down the way. Awesome dudes down there.
Well, that's legit. You don't have to go very far.
Oh, absolutely not. We can drive our forklift all the way down there. It's awesome. Well, no, they're a good group of folks down there and help us put on or get our dreams in a can.
Ooh, I like that. I like that tagline. Dream in a can. That's what this tastes like. Okay, so I talked to you earlier. We want to start making I want to start making a couple of little changes here on the show. So hopefully you've had some time. You probably haven't, because you've probably been busy as hell. But like if you sign up for our newsletter, like we put it out every Wednesday. It's kind of based off of this question where we ask people what they're obsessed with. And so every single week for the last, whatever, 104 weeks, however long we've been doing this damn newsletter, we've been putting out like my 3 or Jared's 3 or Haley's 3, which is basically like, what are we reading? What are we watching? What are we listening to? Sometimes it's what are we drinking? What are we eating? But I think that there's a space there, and I might be speaking for just myself, but I'm very motivated by what motivates other people, and motivation can come from anywhere. So for me, that comes in the form of like watching a movie or listening to music, right? There's like a lyric that really sticks with you. And sometimes that can stick with you for years or decades, right? And it's just like this thing that sticks with you, like the movie Rudy, right? Like you just have this underdog story, or you read a book and there's a great takeaway. So I want to start hearing from people that are, that have been successful in what they're doing and what they've watched, what they've read, what they listen to, and the value that they pull from that and how they apply that in their life. And that might be too big of a setup, but if you have any of those, right, if you have a movie that you've watched that has inspired you or has impacted you, or music or a book, I would love to hear from you, Matt, about any one of those.
Definitely. So not to get too nerdy on you, because I'm a super nerdy guy for sure. But what's inspired me most, especially about this weird time in life, just with the virus going around and the change of business. There's a guy named Simon Sinek. You heard of him, Fabian? So his book called The Infinite Game has been one that's been on my nightstand for the last month or so. It's a very interesting concept of business and people and community and how they all kind of affect each other, and how the business, if you're thinking about it as like a football game, if you will, it's
right.
maybe not the right way to think about a business, because we want the Distillery to be something that's here for well beyond us and providing back to the community well beyond just myself. But it's big to wrap your head around. And that's probably why I haven't got totally through the book, because I feel like I'm reading each section like 2 or 3 times before it actually sinks into my skull. But that's definitely been keeping me up at night, flipping the pages a little bit. Just it's a different perspective of business and community and culture that's got me interested and a little re-energized.
What part of that all resonated the most with you? Was there like a specific chapter, the way that he worded something, where you're just like, damn, that's the thing?
There's been way too many of those is the challenge. Like the whole thing, it's like, oh, wow, this blows my mind. And then I get to the next one. It's like, oh, really? Wait, I totally forgot about the one before because this was even better. But to boil it down a lot, it's just about like the infinite game of business. And if you're thinking just about the short term, the win, hey, who are our competitors? Are we doing better than them? Are you really in the right game for yourself, rather than how do we provide value to this whole ecosystem, the community, is my biggest part that I'm kind of drawing out of that, rather than we can get all caught up in the numbers and say, hey, are we doing this? Are we hitting this target? But when you boil it down, are we like in this time where everybody's kind of had to make drastic changes, are we able to keep some people on staff and have this viable community feel, even though there's tons of changes happening? How do we continue to provide back as a business rather than just be here where somebody wants to come? That makes sense?
Yeah. And it's interesting if I'm understanding kind of the concept of the book correctly, as like, and I get a lot of my business advice from Jared, right? He's been a successful business owner for 9 years. Take that for what it's worth, guys. You can judge me on taking his advice. But, one of the things that always sticks out to me is he's always just like, what is your exit strategy? And it sounds like this book is almost the antithesis of that kind of outlook of like, it's not like, okay, how can you go in and make money and get out? It's how are you here for the long term and how does that impact your community? And is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. You did an even better job explaining it than myself, but that's exactly what it is. He even has that in the book a little bit. It's like do you need to invest in a person that already has an exit strategy that already wants to get out of this business, or do you want to invest in somebody that like wants to be in this business and wants to make this thing grow well beyond what they could even do it themselves?
Right. And I think
so
that
it's been inspiring. It's crazy to think about. And again, it's like so kind of heady that I have to reread it so many times just to make it sink in.
yeah. And what's cool is, I mean, I've known you for, a few years now. And like, there's always been that part of you when we talk about Eighth Day, it's never been of like, oh, we're just doing this to like make some money and get out. It's always been like, this is kind of like a legacy thing, and what kind of an impact can we make?
Yeah, that's our educate and impact, and how do we provide back to the community. So it's always been a fun thing to see.
That's awesome. What about any on the other two? Like, are you a movie guy or a music guy that gets inspired by any of those?
And I'm starting to get into both of them. I gotta tell you, I've been a nerd all my life, and maybe The Sandlot was the most inspirational movie I've watched in a while. But music, like growing up, I wasn't super into music. We didn't listen to a lot of music at the house. But as my wife, Jamie, brother, they both love music, awesome individuals, and like understand music. And now as growing up, like seeing live music, the respect is so much different than when I was growing up about music, right? I just didn't grow up in a household that necessarily enjoyed listening to music. And now it's almost becoming more of a staple in my life, but not in a way where I'm diving in for inspiration yet, but just amazed by the talent.
Yeah. Dude, when you get there, that whole world that opens up is amazing. And I can't wait for something to click for you to be like, holy cow. Right. And not to say that you're not there yet, but I mean, there's certain bands or there's certain songs or albums when you listen to it, it's just like opens up this entire universe, and it just changes the way that you think about stuff. Right. And it's not just the lyrics, but it's just the way that they play the music. And like, I'm absolutely obsessed with it all, and can find inspiration in a lot of it. Whether it's, hey, take another 5 steps on this run and don't give up, or this person is speaking to me and it looks like they were looking in at my life when I was 13, right? And they can put into words what I was and make it reflect. But I think that there's a lot. I mean, like I said, there's a whole universe in there that you can discover, which is cool.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have to do this talk again in a year to see if I've actually matured enough to understand to do that.
Get a record player. Start like listening to some of the stuff that you listened to growing up, buying on vinyl. And I think that forces you to kind of slow down and listen and pay attention a little bit more. And I mean, that was a game changer for me, for sure.
All right. Duly noted.
Yeah. I'm not trying to tell you but you should do that.
Did Jamie call you before this?
No, but but if she's looking for a good present for you, I think that should be it. We'll do a couple of rapid fire questions here. One, this is one that we haven't asked before on the show, but your last meal, right? You have one meal to eat, and it's the last thing that you will ever eat.
Oh, I thought you were asking about like the last meal I just ate, because I was going to tell you a hot dog. But okay. The last meal I could ever eat?
Yeah.
Ooh.
What would it be?
Man, oh man. Right now, I've been on a ribs kick at home. I don't know why, but like smoked ribs off the grill. And like that would probably be it, like right now in my life. That's due to change in 2 weeks for sure. Yeah. But
would they be
like right now?
Homemade smoked ribs, or have you had them somewhere where they like changed your life?
No, at home actually. They've been turning out pretty good at home. So yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I guess this whole quarantine thing has turned me into more of a griller a little bit. So, yeah, that would definitely be it.
I would have called you a griller before. You have a big Korean egg, dude. People don't just have those that don't grill.
Yeah, well, we got busy about 4 years ago opening up a little business. So I don't know if I've really done too much grilling until the last like 6, 8 weeks.
The hot dog that you ate, did you make it on your grill?
Nope.
No.
No.
Microwave?
Yep. Actually, Jamie brought it over, so I don't. Yeah, she probably pan and skillet. I don't even know. It was good. It was tasty.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Do you have a motto in your life, or is there like a quote that, like, if I ask somebody, they're like, "Oh man, yeah, Matt's always saying that," or "God, dang it, Matt, not again." Right? Like, I think there's certain phrases or things like that that I say quite a bit that are just parts of kind of how I grew up and things that lead my life. But do you have mottos or phrases or anything like that you say?
Oh no. It's probably like, what's next? What's the next project? And
Yeah.
it's not probably a good thing. I should probably like sit back and like reflect on things. But yeah, if you ask some of the really close people in my life, it's probably always like, what's next? Does a guy slow down and do something or celebrate? When I know I should, but it's always what's next.
That's good. I mean, yeah, I can see that being a good and a bad thing, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one last thing, we didn't talk about it. So I'm going to eat up this because it's staring right at me. But you guys are also doing this hand sanitizer.
We are, yes.
All of this. So talk a little bit about how this all came about, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, so the sanitizer wasn't really a ball game we ever thought we would do here at the distillery. We kind of opened up to make rum, gin, whiskey, absinthe, awesome cocktails in a can. But as the pandemic kind of made itself this more of a thing and sanitizer wasn't readily available, legislation relaxed a bit, let local distilleries make sanitizer for their community. Our whole mission is to try to donate as much as we can. While we do need to sell some sanitizer, so we can donate to those in the community that need it most. So in our sanitizer, you'll find we're following the World Health Organization rules or their ingredient list. It's 100% almost pure ethanol, some glycerol, and hydrogen peroxide. So when you use it on your hands, it's a well-made ethyl alcohol that we're using. You're not going to smell any funky, weird flavors necessarily, but you're almost going to feel like you're rubbing vodka on your hands necessarily.
So people should not drink this.
I would not advise it. Nope. That's why we put it on there. Stay safe, stay healthy. Warning, do not drink.
Yeah. And not that, I mean, and maybe you know this or not, but is everybody following the World Health Organization ingredient list?
I don't know. I sure hope they would be, but I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily a thing that we can do on the day in, day out without the relaxation of some of the laws and regulations. Yeah. So I would sure hope so. If they give us a little bit of leeway to do this, to provide back to the community, I would sure hope so.
Yeah, I want to say that of all the ones that I've seen, and I could be wrong, I might not just be paying attention, and I might just be staring at this because it's in front of me, but I feel like this is the only one that I've seen that has that designation on there saying that this is the recommended formula. So good on you guys for doing that.
It'll do the job, that's for sure. We do advise you to still wash your hands, but yeah, when you're in a pinch, grab some sanitizer.
Hell yeah. Well, Matt, this has been awesome. I appreciate you spending some time with us. If I want to give you an opportunity one more time. I know times are crazy, hours are different. So for the foreseeable next month, essentially, maybe next few weeks, you guys might have some differences going on in the cocktail bar. So what are your hours? Where can people go find out kind of what you guys are selling and what your hours of operation are, and kind of follow more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we're updating our website weekly, eighthdaydistillery.com, to find out what opportunities we have available for that next weekend, meaning fresh cocktail mixes. And then the biggest fun thing that we're doing here this Thursday is we're launching that canned gin and tonic that we've been sipping on during this interview. So you can come here. We don't have it anywhere else right now. And the reason you can buy it from us at the Cocktail Bar Bottle Shop is we're making everything 100% here on site. So come in, grab a cocktail to go, canned cocktail to go. And our hours right now currently are 4 to 7 on Thursday and Friday, and 3 to 6 on Saturday.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Go get your canned G&Ts from Eighth Day Distillery. This was delicious. It has my stamp of approval. This was awesome. So,
I'm glad you liked it. Cheers. Tell your friends.
cheers. Yes. All 4,911 friends that we have.
All right.
All of them, and to all the people that are listening. So thank you once again. As I like to say, drink culture, know your city. We're out.